All rise.
I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling.
I was not the first one to throw a walk.
Let me just tell you what you just said.
Compassionate.
I really enjoy being a judge. Now I am touching people who I will never know I touched.
She's powerful.
You should have never let them walk out of your life when she was 3.
And she's on the bench.
Don't get me preaching up in here today.
Right.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Carla Fairfield is suing Frida Green in the amount of $1,950. Ms. Fairfield claims she gave her deceased brother's fiancé and child a place to live, but says Ms. Green has overstayed her welcome and owes unpaid rent.
Before we go to the details, what is your relationship with the defendant?
She's my dead brother's ex-fiancé.
Oh, so your brother died.
My brother died, yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And you were engaged to her brother before he passed.
Yes.
And why is it necessary that she's in the courtroom being sued?
So when my brother passed away, all the responsibility fell on my shoulder. And she was living with us before he died, of course. And when he died, she was pregnant. Like, she announced suddenly that she's pregnant, and his insurance money was coming in at the same time.
So let me stop there. So
Yeah.
you didn't know that she was pregnant
No.
until after?
Until after.
Until after your
Yeah.
brother passed away?
My brother passed
so
away.
Did your brother pass away suddenly, unexpectedly?
It was an accident.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So he was killed in a car
He
accident?
was killed in a car accident.
It's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. So, did you know that you were pregnant before he passed away?
Yes,
You did?
I did.
And when you told Carla, how far along were you in the pregnancy?
I was 2 months pregnant.
So now your reaction is what? What did you say to her?
Well, she comes to me for help, and of course it's my nephew in there, so I wanted to help her. And she didn't have a job. She wanted a place to stay. She needed a place to stay, and I was like, yes, till the time you figure out, you save some money, figure out the next step in life, you can stay with me.
So your brother was supporting her. She didn't have a job the whole time that she was living there with your brother?
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you have a job?
That's something we just always talked about with her brother, with Sean. He wanted me to take care of the family, and I was absolutely fine with that. We wanted a baby was planned. So this whole car accident was just really
Terrible tragedy. All right, so now she says, I need help. I don't have a job. I need a place to stay. And you said, of course.
Of course,
And so
yeah.
what was the understanding between the two of you?
The understanding was she would cook for me. And she
Okay.
had food stamps, so it was like a good barter for both of us, food for shelter. And I have a full-time job, so I couldn't cook, so I needed somebody to help me out with that anyway, which was great. But after a while, she got really sad after the baby was born. And she was just so sad, she wouldn't even leave her room. She wouldn't clean the house, she stopped cooking.
So it sounds like you had some postpartum depression going on.
Yes, exactly.
Did you seek help for that?
No, not really. I just thought back then that it was just because Sean died. That's how I was.
Oh, see, you had the grief issue on top of all of this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right.
And so basically we agreed that I would be cooking and I could stay there for free. And I was really up for it because I do love to cook and it's like no trouble for me. But then this just depressing mindset just hit me and I was not prepared for it and I didn't know what was happening, so I couldn't really even leave the room.
She was dealing perhaps with postpartum depression, but she's also dealing with grief.
But you know, it's my brother too. So
Yes,
I feel
that's
the
true.
grief as well.
That is very, very
Yeah.
true, Carla. It was your brother too, so it was tough on everybody,
Yeah.
I'm certain. So what happened that caused you two to be in my courtroom today?
So once she got into depression, you know, she stayed, after the baby was born, she stayed at my place for another year, rent-free.
Another year?
Another year.
Okay.
Rent-free. It's all on me, not cooking, obviously, and I gave her the time and the space which she needed to recuperate, to recover from that.
Right.
And then after that...
A year is a very long time.
It's a long time.
I mean, you know, to have her there paying no rent, not contributing. I get it. So for a year.
Plus the 9 months when she was pregnant.
Plus the 9 months
Plus
when she
9
was
months,
pregnant.
yeah.
All right. So now a year comes, and are you looking for a job? Are you looking to be independent? What's going on with you?
I was trying to look for a job, but it was still like hard for me even to get out of the house. And what happened is that we didn't have any agreement on when I was supposed to leave or anything, and then it just pretty much it seems like it was one day that she was fed up with me.
I mean, you were living rent-free. There is no agreement for, for living rent-free.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
Really, she would all the time poke at the fact that I'm not cooking, I'm not doing anything. She would come home mad, oh, look at this mess, like you're not doing anything.
How else you want me to push you?
And later,
I understand. So you signed the waiver, you went through orientation, but yet and still you're in my courtroom. What happened?
There was direct gross negligence, Your Honor.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Carla Fairfield, who is suing Frida Green for unpaid rent.
So tell me what happened then.
So I gave her 3 months notice, and there was some messages that were exchanged between us.
Also, it's not, you made it sound like she just came up one day and said, get out today.
She came and she was like, you have 3 months, either you pay rent or you're out.
Right, so wait a minute. See, you made it sound like she kicked you out, that she came up one day, that she was fed up, and she just put you and the baby out in the street. That is not what happened.
She did give me a 3 months notice.
3 months notice.
And I was trying to find a job, but I was showing her that I'm trying. I would go to interviews, I would try, and then she didn't care for my efforts. She was like, okay, 3 months is 3 months, you're out.
3 months is 3 months. Now, you've been there for a year plus the 9 months you were pregnant. I don't understand why that's not reasonable to you.
Because honestly, in the beginning, after he passed, I thought that she would be more supportive. And then she told me that right now she was saying that she would invite me for a jog, but really she would all the time poke at the fact that I'm not cooking, I'm not doing anything. She would come home mad, oh, look at this mess, like you're not doing anything.
How else you want me to push you? Every day I come home, it's the same story.
I didn't
You're
need
stuck
pushing.
there on the couch
Maybe,
watching TV with the baby.
Maybe I just
in your head the
maybe
whole
I just
time.
needed some rest.
How long?
That's all I needed.
How long of a rest do you need? I cannot support you after a while. I have my own life too. I cannot bring anyone home because I have no space. The baby and your stuff is all over the house, all in every
really
room.
hope that once you give birth, you don't feel the same thing I felt.
I hope so too, and I hope I go out there and get a job and give my baby a proper upbringing.
It's easy for you to say.
So the what are we talking about? $1,950. How is that calculated?
So I thought I would just charge her like for the 3 month rent, the 3 month notice that I gave her. It was $650 per month because the whole house is basically her and Sean Baby Jr. I had like no space left in it.
Did you tell her that you got 3 months and I'm going to charge you $650 every month?
I did not tell her that I'll charge you $650. I gave her 3 months to move out, and she didn't move out.
Oh, she didn't move out after
She did not move out. I had to just.
So then she stayed another 3 months?
No.
So she didn't move out.
She did move out. But it was hard. She wasn't ready. I had to just.
I'm not challenging that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand how you came up with the $650 for 3 months.
$650 for 3 months, because I did a calculation that this is the amount that.
But you never told her that.
I did not.
You just told her she had to get out at the 3 months, which I don't think is unreasonable.
Yeah.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
But given the situation that you didn't put her on notice and said, now listen, for these next 3 months, I'm going to charge you $650, then she didn't know that that was due.
Yeah.
But she did vacate after the 3 months notice, yes?
After the 3 months, I told her that if she stayed after the 3 months, then she has to pay $650 rent every month.
That's reasonable.
Which she wasn't willing to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but she didn't stay for those extra 3 months. Right. So if she had stayed for those extra 3 months, there would be no question in my mind that you are due the $1,950. But to then say retroactively, I'm going to charge her for those 3 months, once you didn't give her notice that she owed you for those 3 months up front, legally, I can't do that. But this is a bigger issue beyond the money. And that is the relationship between the two of you. And really, you're acting like you're entitled. You're acting like you're entitled. This woman, the sister of your fiance, has gone way beyond the call of duty. Out of concern for you, out of concern for her nephew, and in respect of her brother. And so for you to kind of stand here, and I get the part that you were dealing with depression, I get the part that you were dealing with grief, but to stand here saying that, you know, that they should have. If Carla wasn't there, what would you have done? That's my point. And so you gotta stop thinking that the world owes you something because of the difficult time you've had. I am absolutely, really begging you to get some professional help. And so to help you get past this and to deal with grief. And there's no shame in that. And I'm asking you to seriously do that because not only is it good for you, it's good for the baby. Carla, if you had given her notice of these 3 months and that money that was due up front and she had notice of that, I would absolutely grant you the 3 months rent.
Okay.
But because you gave her notice and told her she had to leave and she left after the 3 months, under these facts, I can't do it retroactively. There's nothing further for the reasons I've articulated. I am dismissing your claim. If there's nothing further, we will stand adjourned.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
I didn't get the money, but I really hope we can put this behind us.
I'm sorry we ended up in court over this, but I'll do my best to give you some of that money back.
Coming up,
I grabbed the collar of the other dog and didn't get between them, and of course I get bit.
closed captioning provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Bill Brandow is suing Kyle Mitchell in the amount of $2,000. Mr. Brandow claims he was injured breaking up a dog fight while volunteering at Mr. Mitchell's animal shelter and says the defendant is to blame.
Good day. You have a claim against the defendant today for some $2,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me what happened.
So I was volunteering at Kyle Mitchell, the defendant's shelter, which is Third Chance Shelter. So I've been volunteering for about 4 or 5 months. I've gone through orientation. I did sign a waiver. I was specifically told
And
I
what
would...
and why did you sign a waiver? Tell me what the waiver was.
Waiver saying that, you know, if something did happen, if I followed protocol,
Right.
I would not be able to be warranted to sue the owner of the shelter.
Your Honor, if I can interject, this is standard procedure of what we do for all of our volunteers.
I get it.
We only have the 2 main employees, myself and my wife, and everybody else that comes and helps us out, which there are a number of people. They all have to sign these kind of waivers.
I understand. I understand. So you signed the waiver, you went through orientation, but yet and still you're in my courtroom. What happened?
There was direct gross negligence, Your Honor.
How so?
So one of my duties is to clean out the kettles.
Right.
Also, I'm supposed to let the dog socialize. It's obviously very good for animals to be sociable.
Right.
Kyle, here, the defendant, always makes sure to let me know which dogs are okay. So as these 2 dogs are out playing, which Kyle has, you know, specifically told were all right to be playing out.
Okay.
I'm cleaning up the kettles, and then I hear a noise. Now, I'm pretty good at being able to distinguish play fighting from real fighting.
Right.
You know, the growl sounds a lot angrier.
Of course.
So I turn around and I see 2 dogs. One is Frankie, a dog that I am deeply connected with, whose neck was in the mouth of a dog I've never seen before.
Right.
So I call for Kyle, I scream for him. I get on the walkie-talkie, I phone him in. No answer, nothing. Frankie was getting seriously hurt at this point. I had to do something. So what I did was I grabbed the collar of the other dog and didn't get between them, and of course I get bit.
Coming up.
What kind of injuries did you sustain?
It was a pretty big welt on my forearm. So obviously I went to urgent care and spent a little over 24 hours in the hospital.
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Bill Brandow, who is suing Kyle Mitchell for negligence.
All right, so what happened, Kyle, from your perspective? What went wrong that day?
So what had happened was we brought in a new dog. This was another, kind of rambunctious dog that nobody wanted, basically. Right. Brought him in. It was the first day that he was there. At first, I let him walk around the play area a little bit. Right. All the other dogs were in their cages. He seemed to be okay interacting with the dogs through the cages, so I didn't really think anything of it at the time. I put him back into his kennel, right. And then shortly after, Bill showed up, and I told him to carry out his duties, go and clean the other cages, right. Of the dogs that he knows. I made specifically a point to say that. He went to do his duties. I went to finish out some paperwork in the office. And what had happened, I guess, when he let the dogs out, that the new dog had got out of his cage somehow. Now, I will admit, I was the last person to handle that dog, and I put him back in the cage. I thought I latched the cage properly. Maybe I did not, but I'm pretty sure that I did. I don't have an idea of how he got out.
And your position, Bill, is that he was negligent because he didn't properly latch the...
100%, Your Honor.
Okay, and what kind of injuries did you sustain?
It was a pretty big welt on my forearm. So obviously I went to urgent care and spent a little over 24 hours in the hospital.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
Bill, this is my problem. I appreciate the fact that you have been a volunteer at this shelter. You signed a waiver, but I don't know definitively that Kyle was responsible for this. Now, I get what happened is that there was an emotional decision right then and there.
If I didn't intervene, he would have died. Well, Frankie was already injured after this, too.
Yes, I know, and I get that. I get that. But that was also a decision that you made under these circumstances. And I do regret that because of the law and the way this is set up, that I cannot find Kyle liable for the $2,000. And it pains me to say that. But under these circumstances, and I realize that you're saying, but Judge, if I hadn't stepped in, Frankie would have died. But I am sorry, under these circumstances, your claim is denied. If there's nothing further, we'll stand adjourned.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
Bill, I'm sorry you got injured, and I just want to say thank you for all your help at the kennel.
I really appreciate what you do, but I hope you've learned from this and be more responsible in the future.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.